All right, I want to welcome you back to the Principals Podcast. This is probably one of our last episodes because of the season, because there's just so much going on. We have this weekend coming up, we have prom, and we also have in the next few weeks coming up with commencement. And those were going to be really the focal points for the week, and everything else will be placed in the week in reflection. Today we're focusing on lacrosse. Lacrosse is a OHSA sport now at Chardon High School. For years it was club, and we have two of our standouts from the senior class here. We have Kenzie Morse for girls lacrosse, Matt Klosky for boys lacrosse. Both have had tremendous seasons. Matt, we get it. Yours was a little cut short with your leg, but I've been to many games this year, and you are still an active leader on that squad. So welcome to both of you. We have Mr. Heim joining us also to today's podcast. So let's start ladies first. Kenzie, first, I know that you are a person of great humility, but you've reached a pretty extraordinary accomplishment recently. What was that for all of our listeners?
So I beat the record of 90 goals. I hit 90. I got 106 goals. I originally was going to shoot just to beat the record, and then I was like, I'm just going to go 100 goals. So then I got to 106 on our senior night, and my total career goals ended up being 214.
That's a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Matt, could you stop her? Could you, as a goalie, could you stop that?
I'm going to go 50-50 on that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the under on that, and I'm going to take the attack artist that Mackenzie is, and I'll say maybe you'll stop 2 out of 10.
That might be a bit more accurate.
So, in the continuing the conversation with girls lacrosse, you have well, it seems like it feels like a new coach, but she's been there since last year, but you didn't play with Coach Platts. And you have a pretty young squad. You have a group of senior girls. Talk to us about your season, just how it's going, and where you are going soon for the tournament.
Yeah, so we started off pretty rough. I definitely have been developing our fundamentals all season long, and everyone's been working super hard. We do have a very solid group of seniors with Kenzie Flores and Amelia Swanky, Lily Livingood, and Paige Lusick, and we all get our jobs done. And then we have that group of freshmen and sophomores who have really stepped up to the plate, like Maggie Slack and Gray Tominski and Stella and Jerome, sorry. But they all really stepped up to the plate, and they're definitely going to be a key part in keeping the program going. But yeah, right now we're 13-4. We ended our regular season, and our playoff game is on the 20th. We have a bye week first.
Do you know who you're lined up with, or they still have to play into who?
Yeah, we'll play the winner of Uniontown Lake and Louisville. So I think we have a pretty good shot. This is definitely, I definitely think we can win our first round, which will be the first time in program history that we've won a playoff game.
That's
do they
great.
have to come to us, or do we have to travel to them?
No, they're coming here.
So what you're telling us is that we have to bring the noise. We have to treat it like Friday Night Football. Everyone's families are going to look like they have 8 in their family when they get their online tickets. With the restrictions going to be loosened here in June, I wish that they would be loosened now with the beautiful weather and having more outdoor experiences. But certainly we have to fill the stadium for that evening. And transitioning over to Matt, you obviously started off, had an extraordinary football season. And then you transitioned. You weren't certain that you were going to do lacrosse, were you?
Yeah, no, I was 100%. I was going to stick with lacrosse. I mean, I started my freshman year, and I fell in love with the sport. And even though I had the whole football thing going on for me, and like my shoulder, like I had problems with my shoulder, I still wanted to stick with it just because I love the sport, I love the program, and I definitely want to leave my mark on my senior year. Unfortunately, I got cut a little short with my ACL and everything, but I still love to be around the program. I still show up to practices here and like when I can, and I show up to every game possible. And I like I said, I love the program. I love watching these kids compete. I love watching them step up, and a lot of it is just I want to implement that state championship culture that we had in the football season. I want to bring that into lacrosse.
That's great. And I agree with you. When you have the opportunity to experience something like that and you play multiple sports, bringing that in is absolutely essential, because you are also going to be leaving a pretty young crew after your seniors graduate. So can you talk to us about your season as a team, some of the seniors maybe that are in the program, and where you guys are going in your tournament?
Well, our season started off pretty solid. Like we had our ups and downs like any other team would. I mean, technically it's our first year as a varsity sport, so really everybody's still getting acclimated to like just the sport atmosphere, because we had a lot of freshmen come in last year, and unfortunately they only played like half a scrimmage, so they didn't have much time on the field. But like everybody, like our coaches and everything, they're doing a great job rotating everyone in and bringing like everyone is mending together very well. And that was the biggest fear when we had a whole entire group of freshmen and a whole entire group of seniors when we first started the program, was how are they going to mend together? But everybody blended together perfectly. Like we have great team chemistry, and I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of other teams. We're sitting at 11-6 right now, and we're going into the playoffs in the 11th seed. We play Revere on Monday, and we're going out to them. I think that's gonna be a good game. We played them before. That was the first game I missed, and Landry stepped up to the plate. They ended up falling short, 11-9. But I think this time Landry and his whole entire defense in front of him has it in him to bring us to the next round. So I'm excited to see how Monday turns out, and I'm very impressed with the program, and I'm very impressed with how everybody has just like came ready to work and came ready to grow, and it's nice to have a program where people want to win and people are very passionate about lacrosse.
Does Revere have blue turf?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay, enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be they have it, and I think
Ravenna.
Yeah.
Ravenna does.
Ravenna. I don't get the blue turf. I don't get it. Whatever.
That Boise State thing. I don't know.
So there are a lot of lacrosse is growing in this area big time. Whereas when you were playing, it was kind of that, it almost felt like early on with like swimming and diving, like there were some specific places that you would go to play. You could travel organizations, and then it started around this area started to come around in the 2000s slowly. And now it's kind of almost every school around has either a club or varsity sport of lacrosse. What is the biggest difference that anyone who hasn't watched the sport would know between boys lacrosse and girls lacrosse? Because there's differences. The goals are different, like different lengths, face-offs. Tell us the differences between both sports. And Kenzie, tell us a little bit about what you feel that is different about girls lacrosse versus boys lacrosse.
It's definitely the physicality of it. There's a lot more hitting with lacrosse, and there's like, you guys wear more pads, you guys have helmets, we just wear goggles. But I mean, girls lacrosse still gets very physical. You still are getting beat up and bruised, but just like watching the game, they're just whacking each other with sticks, and girls has more pauses to it, and the draw is like a main part that is very different. We're standing up, and the boys are on the ground.
Okay. Matt, anything else further to that you would say is different?
I mean, really, like the big thing is just the physicality thing. I mean, granted, like there's still girls on the lacrosse team that still could probably whoop me, but like it's just that they legally can't. But it definitely is the physicality part, and like I'd say if anything, the tempo too. Like we play a more fast-paced tempo. There's like she said, they have a lot of pauses, and they have a lot of times where like they have to stop before they go across the line or whatever. Like ours is just go, go, go. And I think that's really what sets a different different standard for each sport.
So, guys, you guys are currently playing for the school, but are there other programs out there that you guys play with during the season or out of season, I should say, that where you kind of seen some of these other talented players around and played with them?
Yeah, I've been playing travel since 8th grade. So I play for Burning River. It's out in Brunswick. So pretty much every team we play, I know at least like one girl I play travel with, and we will peg her and be like, okay, this girl's really good. We got to stay on her. And some of the teams are just stacked with travel players like Kenston, who was the WRC champs, and they just have like the entire team is the travel players. Well, it's really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play travel. I definitely do. I do a couple camps here and there though. I did a camp at Burning River, and then I do a couple tournaments where I go to like the Under Armour like All America tournaments and things like that. But you definitely see a lot of talent. Like you realize how small of a bubble you're in when you're staying in Chard, and then you go like when I went to this All America tournament, these kids are unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, they're faking shots behind the back, and they're getting me lost in goal. And it's just crazy to see how one area who's had lacrosse for much longer than our area, how just different the styles of play are. Our face-off guy, Christian Bross, he plays travel, and he knows just about every single face-off guy around, and he knows their exact mechanics that they're going to use and everything about them. But it's a lot of it is just getting out there and knowing it, and that's the part where I think we're stuck at. Is just everybody's used to just Chardon lacrosse. They're not used to Burning River lacrosse or like Hudson lacrosse, like places where it's been growing forever.
Right. And then when we go and travel out of state to New York and Maryland, they are just a whole different level of play. It's a whole different game. Like these kids were born with the stick in their hand. And that's just something that we need to develop here. And we need to get like a strong youth program and middle school program so that we can get them started young, because that's what the really strong programs around here have.
So we're at the point where we're wrapping up your senior year. We're going into playoffs. Are either of you going to be playing at the next level? And if so, where?
Yeah, I'm playing at the College of Worcester. I committed back in last April.
I'm not playing next level just because of the injuries I've had, but I'm definitely going to stick around the program. I'm coming back next year and coaching because it's something I love doing. Like when I worked about a month and a half ago with the middle school goalies, and I loved what I saw. Like every single one of these kids had a passion of playing, and like you just see it. Like it was pouring rain that whole entire morning. We every single one of us had the most fun we've had in a while. So I definitely love the program, and I definitely would like to stick around. So I think I'm going to just stick close with college and then just come back to my roots.
One of the greatest things about your sport is that it is rarely canceled, meaning that you play in almost every condition. And being that on our turf, like when baseball and softball was canceled for like 8 straight days, you had like 3 games that you could play. And have you played? I'm sure the answer is yes, but tell me the difference between playing on turf versus playing on natural grass, because the game will slow down on natural grass.
Yeah, ground balls are a whole different thing. On turf, it's very easy to scoop up. On grass, especially if it's long, you really have to get down there and put a lot more effort into it. And also, like shooting is different too, because when you hit the turf, it bounces, but grass it won't. And if a pass, like if someone misses a pass, it'll roll out really fast on turf, so you'll kind of let it go. But on grass, you got to hustle after it because that ball is like stop moving, and you have to get there to get it.
Yeah, it's a completely different environment on grass. It's much harder to, like, especially for me as a goalie, like it's much harder for me to read shots off of turf and everything, because like depending on how like firm the turf is or not is going to dictate how much the ball is going to bounce up. And if it's on grass, it's going to shoot right at my feet. So a lot of people are just going to try throwing heaters at me, but also a lot of it is just like your movement. Like on turf, you don't have anything constricting your feet when you're picking your foot up. On grass, you're dragging your foot across the grass to try to move. And even though it doesn't seem like a lot, it really is, just because you're not used to it, especially because we practice on the turf and then we go play on a grass field. It's a completely different ball game, and your warm-up is much more focused when you're playing on a grass field, just because you need to adapt yourself to the environment.
Yeah, last Saturday we played at Kent Roosevelt, and it was a grass field, and there was just mud spots everywhere, and we all came out so dirty. We're just falling all over in these pits.
Nice. I watched my first lacrosse game back in 1996 at college, and it was on very well-maintained grass. I mean, we're talking they used golf course equipment, so the stripes were beautiful, but it was pouring. And I was like, what am I didn't know what it was. I'm like, is this what they call field hockey? And they're like, this is lacrosse, dude. Where have you been? I'm like, Chardon, Ohio. Like, what is lacrosse? And it was like watching hockey, like straight up hockey on ice, but totally different equipment, because the hits that I saw were not going into boards. These hits, these guys were flying out of bounds. I've seen that both for the girls and for the guys. Have any of you taken a little too aggressive swipe at a stick and been given fouls this year, or minutes out?
Yeah, I've gotten a few yellow cards this year.
It's not because you're a mean spirit, it's because you are an aggressive player.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, when I get fouls, I'm like, it's okay. It's just part of the game.
I haven't gotten any penalties yet. I haven't gotten any penalties just because, like, I'm not really supposed to be getting out of my circle as is. But, like, I mean, out there, a lot of, like, it's eat or be eaten, basically. Like, so if you're not on the aggression side of it, you're really, like, you're gonna have a long 48 minutes, just because it could get brutal, especially with some teams. I mean, some teams will try to cheap shot you, but at that point you gotta learn to keep your cool. But like I said, like, a lot of it is just you have to control the pace yourself, and that's the best part about the sport, is you get to dictate the outcome. And it's like, obviously, yes, it's a team effort, but it's more of a mentality going in than it is your athleticism.
We're transitioning to prom this weekend. You excited to actually be able to do something in that regard for the first time in over 18 months?
Yeah, it's exciting.
No, definitely not used to being able to get back to normal life after a long while of sitting behind a computer. But I'm really excited, and I can't wait for this weekend.
Lavera, Saturday night, back to after prom, back in our building. In a couple of weeks, you will be graduates of Chardon High School, and it will be back on that turf. The cool part being is that a day later, they're tearing up the turf to put in another round. That turf has lasted twice over 10 years long. For the first and second round, it's 20-some years old, the stadium, and so we're on our third edition. But we're getting field turf, the actual company field turf, the same that was at the state championship game, the same exact type of turf, and also product of the turf. So it has a 10-year warranty. So hopefully, and it's going to have already in there the lacrosse lines. So it's going to be great that they don't have to paint over with spray paint. You will have your official girls and guys lacrosse lines in the turf permanently in there. So that's exciting. So we're at part of the podcast where we have shout outs. People that you want to give a shout out to. It does not have to be lacrosse specific. It could be anyone in your family or your friends. And so all of us are going to go, but let's go with Kenzie first. Ladies first.
All right, I'm going to shout out Coach Allie, because she's worked really hard and she's really dedicated to this program. The boosters, they gave us new uniforms this year. The school board allowed us to become a varsity sport. Schneider, he coordinated all our games and announced them. and all the parents and the fans that come there and support and give us snacks after. And Jeff Nakar, he records most of our games and he commentates and takes pictures. He's really awesome. And Paige Lusick for being an awesome teammate. Vote Paige.
I want to give a shout out to Jeff Nakar just because he's doing a ton of behind the scene work, and he's really he was really pushing at the beginning of the season to try to get as many games as possible broadcasted so everyone could see them. Coach Schneider, just because he's done so much he's dealt with so much over the past year and a half of trying to coordinate athletics and let people play, and he's done a great job, and he's really he's made a lot of people's years a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable just because we're allowed to have sports. I'd like to shout out all the parents and fans that show up to the games too, just because we wouldn't be able to do what we wanted if we didn't have the constant support. We wouldn't have gotten approved by the school board if we didn't have the whole entire parking lot filled with people. And lastly, I'd like to shout out Cooper Felger. That kid's definitely going to be a huge spot in the growth of the program, and I can't wait to see what he looks like. I mean, that kid could knock me over as a sophomore. I can't wait to see what he looks like as a senior. So
that's awesome. Great job with the shout outs today, Mr. Hyam.
There's no way I can follow those two great examples there for us, but I'll try.
Well, we've done it 32 times this
year. I know.
So.
I'll try, but I think they've been listening to our podcast. That's
why
they're
daily listeners. Daily.
But what I'm going to shout out the after prom committee, the workers, and I'm not even going to try to name any because I'll miss someone, and that's not what I want to do right now. But every volunteer, everyone who's been involved with the after prom, just want to thank them for all their work. It's going to be a special evening, special into the early morning, and I just can't say enough for the great work that they've done to provide an opportunity for our students to have a little bit of fun after their formal event where they are going to be over at Lavera, and just can't wait to see the students just kind of let some steam off and have some fun. It'll be an exciting night.
I have given thanks to pretty much every member of the Chardon community this year. But in particular today in the podcast, I have to give a shout out to my family, specifically my wife, because this is a time of year where I am kind of absent in the sense of I might be present, but I'm not always present. Example, last night, go from all day school to athletic events to a concert, get home, and it's I have multiple things that need to get accomplished before the day, so I'm not getting to bed till midnight. And then the next morning it's I love you and I'll see you when I get home again. And she's used to that with my career. And it's short term, it's not long term, but I want to give a shout out to my wife for being patient with me and understanding, and my children, because I'm certainly there watching them participate in school and activities. But I'm looking forward to the time where I can get back down to being dad instead of them asking, Dad, what do we have tomorrow at school? I want to be, Dad, what are we having for dinner? So I appreciate them. I want to give you 5 stars for your presence on the podcast. You are extremely articulate. And I think it's either from Varsity Preps, our News Herald Preps, or Ohio Varsity, whomever that has interviewed you for the last several years of being reporters, that you both are very articulate and a great representation of our community. Look forward to seeing you both at prom. Enjoy tomorrow because you can kind of ease into your prom weekend, right?
Yeah.
Be real nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Oh, there's a gov test, but that shouldn't be anyone. Enjoy tonight. Enjoy this weekend. We'll see you at prom. And thanks again for joining us. Go Toppers.
Go Toppers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.